Hey, what's up guys? Isrand here, and today we're doing something a little different. We're actually going to take a look at the Neverwinter beta. Neverwinter is an MMO by Cryptic Studios, and this was actually taken during its first beta weekend. Now that said, I wanted to sit down and actually talk with you guys because this game is actually really good. I admit I had my doubts at first, but actually sitting down and playing it a bit, it turned out to be really good. First thing you'll notice is the character creation here. Now, at the moment, not all of the races and classes are implemented. However, now it seems like we've got a wide variety of the different Dungeons and Dragons races, and the physical customization for the characters is really, really good. You can pretty much customize everything about your character to a degree, using sliders, of course, very Skyrim-esque, as well as playing with a lot of presets, different hairstyles, things like that. But the main thing that really was kind of shown off during this beta, the thing that really grabbed my attention, was just the combat and the actual gameplay itself. I mean, this... I'll show it here to you guys in a little bit, but little important note: the game itself is actually going to be completely free at launch. At least that's what they're saying for now. No subscription, no box fee, and it's backed, of course, by Wizards of the Coast, and I'm stalling for time while I wait for my my recording to actually get to the gameplay. Holy cow! Yeah. Okay. Well, the gameplay itself is really good. Mostly because the combat is entirely action-oriented. Very similar to, like, Dragon Age 2, or... I'm told Terra is very similar to it as well. I haven't played Terra, I haven't even played the original Neverwinter Nights games, but all of that put together is really... It's a very engaging combat system. In this case, we actually are playing one of the classes, the Guardian Fighter. So, the bulk of my time in this beta was spent fighting as a rogue, but the combat still holds up here. Basically, as you level up, all three of your feats, which are to an extent very customizable, based on your class, are going to your Q, E, and R keys, allowing you to activate them and fly. The Guardian Fighter here can actually block using the Shift key, and you'll see me do that a few times here. It lends itself very well to an action feel. The mouse, of course, guides where your movement, W, A, S, and D to actually walk places, and the left and right mouse buttons will do different attacks. In the case of the Guardian Fighter, right actually does a shield bash, while left swings the sword. In the case of the Rogue, the right mouse button will actually throw throwing knives, and double tapping a key in a direction will actually... It's gonna be quiet, it's awesome. Or double tapping one of the WASD will allow your Rogue to dodge, things like that. It lends itself to that sort of tactical combat. Like, your skills are only going to be as good as you are at using them. Now, that said, this game does actually have joypad and controller support, well, when it launches. At the moment, it's just kind of in the options menu. Now, what we're looking at here is actually the tutorial dungeon, the initial opening sprawl that you're led into when you create your character for the first time. It gets you kind of acquainted to the combat, gives you a couple of helpers to make sure that you're not going to necessarily have to suffer if you can't figure it out right away. Really good stuff. As I was actually playing through the beta, it became increasingly apparent that the game doesn't think you're stupid. Now, why do I say that? That's because a lot of MMOs will just kind of dumb down, and no matter what you do, it's always going to say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, be careful, to quote Ego Raptor, the Mega Man, Mega Man kind of thing. This one, not so much. It'll kind of hold you up to the combat. It introduces the skills one at a time as you level, and then it pretty much just says, here you go. You know, quests are, of course, marked on the mini-map, that sort of thing. The little golden trail that you see there, after about level 10 or so, I didn't see it for quests anymore. Now, I don't know if that's just a beta thing, or if it's a legitimate, you know, they're no longer going to be holding your hand, here, go have fun. Also, I gotta say, the bosses and stuff in this are actually really tough. Like, even as a rogue, I managed to make it through the dungeons, but then again, I never really got beyond level 10, so you'd kind of expect that. It's still sort of introductory stuff. But even that said, look at what you're looking at here. The dwarf has to move, he's got to dodge the areas for the spells, and even with, you know, the enemies will kind of telegraph their attacks a little bit, so you know to move, or you know when to block, or whatnot, so it never feels cheap and unfair. You know, though, there were only a couple of areas that we could access during this beta, just, you know, it makes sense, though. Ooh, the Harbinger. But, I mean, look at that guy, that's awesome. I'm sorry. That is amazing looking. Yeah, but, we'll get a look at some of the graphics here in a few minutes. When we actually get into the city of Neverwinter, we're just kind of entering the city right here, as we're fighting our way through. But, yeah, it's all about the combat. It's the combat in the dungeon. And, like, in the actual beta weekend, we had a bit of a meeting with a couple of other players here and there, where it really showcased, at least to me, how the different classes can kind of mesh together. Like, my rogue and a priest, we're able to fight our way through orcs and ogres, whereas on my own, my guy was getting his butt handed to him by the same group. Yeah, and it was because of that healing and the specialized set of feats that the priest had versus the rogue had. And it looks like it's going to have a lot of really interesting sort of group dynamics, and if the later dungeons in this game are anything compared to the earlier ones that you'll get to do via, you know, questing and all that, like you're seeing this one, there's so many more, and they all seem to be vaguely unique. I mean, I had a couple of quote-unquote sewer levels, but each sewer level had its own sort of, it had its own monsters, it had its own layout, it wasn't reusing everything, which was fantastic. I was so happy about that. Yeah, not to mention the cityscapes and the physical areas are very wide and very open, and I feel like I'm rambling, but to be honest, this game is just, it was so good. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that the beta was only for the weekend, I'd probably still be playing this. And, I wasn't afraid to go and actually drop down $60 on one of their founders packs that's, you know, nets you access to the beta as well as a bunch of other, cool stuff when the game itself launches. Just because, guys, this game deserves some support. You know, it's incredibly fun, very addicting, and again, that engaging combat, making me feel like I need to be active and paying attention to the screen, goes just so far beyond other games, other MMOs. Now, personally, what I can't wait to see is how that kind of combat is going to play in with PvP, because just imagine a deathmatch-style arena fight, a la World of Warcraft, with combat that you actually have to pay attention to, that you're not just mashing hot bars and hot buttons, but you actually have to dodge and do a barrel roll and throw the throwing knives and sneak up on the bad guys. It's so broad and interesting a concept. I cannot wait to actually see it in action once it actually comes live. Now, the physical beta signups, if you want to get your hands on this and try it out now, I mean, you really can't until March when the next beta weekend comes up. But if you want to sign up and see if you can maybe get in for those, you just have to go over to the game's website, which I'll have down in the comments below, And you can check it out, see their media, their videos, wallpapers, those founder packs, which come in a couple of different varieties. One is just sort of a $21 here, you know what I mean, keep doing what you're doing. One is the $60, which has some really cool bonuses. And then if you really love this game, and if you really love the Neverwinter, Forgotten Realms setting, you can actually drop 200 and basically play Dritz Duorden from R.A. Salvatore's novels, because they have a class exclusive to that Founders Pack that's going to be available only with the $200 one, which is actually probably the most brilliant marketing move I've ever seen. But, yeah, see, like, that's just the map of this area alone, not to mention all the other parts of Neverwinter, which all have their own monsters, their own quests, etc., etc., and then there's the areas beyond Neverwinter. But, yeah, buying one of the Founders Packs will actually support the developers, obviously. Love that guy. That guy in the background yelling about sausage. Fantastic. But, it'll also net you the access to the betas, as well as all of the perks that come along with it. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, it's going to be free when it launches, why should I bother? What kind of business model is it going to have? I don't know. I don't know any of it. It comes down to personal taste, whether you want to support these guys. I did, and that's why I'm making this video. Trying to show it off and trying to convey to you guys just how much fun I had over the course of this weekend, over on the live streams, and just playing it as a whole. As for business model and the future development stuff, what else they're going to be adding, I don't know. I'll keep you guys apprised, though, as they go and actually update and release new information. Not really sure what background footage I'll use, but we'll figure that out. But I'll kind of keep you guys appraised as that stuff comes along. I really hope you guys will decide to support this game and join in, because when it launches, I know I'll be in there, and, you know what I mean, I would love to be able to play with you guys as well. Also, this is pretty awesome. You'll see here in a sec. The end to this this little quest for kind of introducing you to I almost said Stormwind. To Neverwinter. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another LP. Good night.